And I was imagining what they'd think of me. They're being industrious, they're going to work, they're being productive. I'm being a bum. You're going to think of me as a bum. And I could feel it. So the first time I started to look at fears was basically my first homework assignment in all the work I did with Miguel. And I didn't even know, there was no 4 agreements book, there was no workbook, there was no classes. I just decided, hey, I think I'd gone to a few talks Miguel gave, and I said, I'm going to do this. And then it occurred to me that I didn't know what this stuff was, this work. And so I asked a friend who'd kind of introduced me. I'm like, okay, where do I start? What do I do? And she said, okay, first, just sit and meditate. At some point during the day, every day, for no real instruction on how much or how. 2, pay attention to your dreams. There were 3 things. Second was pay attention to your dreams. We'll work to recollect them. And so I started to keep a dream journal. Let me remember and see what my dreams were informing me of. And the third one, as part of the assignment, she said, write down what your fears are. And that was kind of 20 something at that point, and full of self-importance and ego. And I thought, well, didn't really think there was anything there. I come from the military and I felt invincible at 27 about the world and thought I knew it all. Clue to how much self-importance I had at the time. A lot. And so I just started to notice that I didn't have control of my attention. I'd noticed, I was like, well, what are my fears? And I don't even know where to look or how to find them or something. And I'll just start paying attention, not knowing what to pay attention to or try and find them. I was like, how do you find them? Things weren't obvious to me because I didn't know how to look and see my fears. One of the first things I noticed was I didn't have control over my attention. I remember very specifically because I was on a trip, driving through the desert and thinking about okay, why am I thinking about this? And I'm like, oh, this is a tangent from that thing, which is a tangent from that thing, which is a tangent from that thing. I'm like, well, how did I start thinking about that? Oh, that was a tangent from that thing. And then 4 hours later, all of a sudden, waking up and going, well, how am I thinking about this now? The last thing I consciously remember thinking about was 4 hours ago when I was tracking the tangents of whatever my mind thought was wandering into. And then I'm like, here, I've done it again. And it's 4 hours later. What happened in that 4 hours? And so I began to see that this complete loss of attention and awareness of my thought process was kind of curious to me. What's going on in that time in between for 3 hours and 58 minutes out of the 4 hours? What's going on in there? What's my mind thinking? And so I began to pay more attention. And I began to see repetitions of stories. The same kind of thinking over and over again. I thought that was kind of curious. It's just repeating itself. My mind is repeating the same stories over and over again. For one, I was taking some time off. I've left the Navy and didn't have another job yet, so I was taking some time touring national parks. That's what I was doing out on this trip. I made some trips to national parks and driving in between. And one of the patterns of thought was, oh, I'm really enjoying this. Oh, I want to just keep doing this. And then the rebuttal thought would come in. It's like, yeah, but you really, you just can't do this indefinitely. There's going to be a big gap in your resume. And then, you have an interview and say, well, what were you doing? You were being a bum, and that's not going to look good. Besides, you don't have unlimited money. I'll be like, yeah, I just can't keep doing this. And every time I'd be out there on a hike or something and just enjoying camping and be like, wow, this is awesome. So we keep spending some more time out here. Those rebuttals would come in. And I'm like, here's the thing I want to do. Why is it always like to say no because of this, because of that? And so I would feel that, here's what I want to do. And immediately the counter conversation came. And watch it over and over. Every time I'm really enjoying myself and want more, the rebuttal. And I came to expect it. And then so I started to write about it. What is this? Okay, I can't have a gap in my resume. Why? Oh, because you're going to go to an interview. You get, talking to a headhunter and they're setting up interviews, and then they're going to think that we're out there being a bum, and you're okay. So fear, and then so it's like, okay, then I have this concern about what other people think of me and what I'm doing in my free time and taking time off. I'm like, well, I'm afraid of what they'll think of me. Oh my God, that's a fear. Good, I found one. But this totally imagined thing that hasn't happened, that this person I haven't met will think of me. I was playing in my mind. And that was part of the rebuttal. And then I was like, well, you don't have unlimited money. You can't do this forever. Like, okay, where's that thought coming from? Okay, no, I don't have unlimited money, but it's kind of living pretty cheaply here out camping and pretty low expenses. I don't have any real bills. But why are you pushing me to go for a job right now when I still have money? And, it's like, and so I was like, what is it saying? It was a whole feeling. We don't have enough money. It's going to run out. We can't let it run out. And it was like, okay, I have my parents to stay at. I don't need to pay for a thing. It's like, how much money how long can I get this stretch? And it's like, cut that by 20 and said that's, it's like, I could do this for like 2 years. I really like skimped. And it was like, no, you need to call your headhunter. You need to go back and do some more interviews and like this week. Wow. It's not looking at my actual bank account and expenses. It's coming from this other thing. And I was like, I do not want to live by whatever it's basing this on. And then there was a story of, yeah, Gary, you're just out here, wasting time. What will your friends say? What will your colleagues say? And I was imagining what they'd think of me. They're being industrious. They're going to work. They're being productive. I'm being a bum. You're going to think of me as a bum. And I could feel it. And I could sense it was, here I am and sitting in like Zion National Park is just like this beautiful, beautiful place. And I'm not experiencing the beauty there. I'm experiencing former colleagues judging me, and I'm feeling judged and less than. I'm not experiencing this beauty of this national park. I'm like, that feels like crap. I thought, well, this is preventing me from enjoying my life. This fear story about what my friends will think of me. My imagined story about what they're imagining that I don't even know if be true is making me suffer right now. Because this fear of what they think of me, it's not even like what they're thinking, what they are thinking of me. It's like I'm imagining and experiencing it right now. This thing that I'm afraid will happen is actually being experienced already. It's not like it might happen in the future. I'm feeling it right now. That was one of the time warping things. It's like I wasn't going to job. Big money was not going to get me away from it because it was all playing just in my own mind. And then I thought about it. I was like, well, is that the way I'd want my friends to treat me? If they're really judging me, like, oh God, you're being really pathetic, Gary, you're a bum, you're taking all that time off. And they really didn't like me for that. And yet maybe, what if I was really doing what I wanted? They were judging me for it and critical and condemning me for it. Would they be my friends? Is that how friends would treat me? Like, no, those are not friends that I'd want. And I thought, well, okay, so here's my choice. I can go and enjoy my life the way I want it, or I could have these friends that were condemning me and making me feel like crap. And so I could keep the friends if I lived to their work standard, timeline that I was imagining they would want from me. I was like, okay, let's assume my assumption about their judging me was even true. Would I want these people as friends? Like, no. But in my mind, their opinion was important. And I looked at that and I'm like, I'm afraid of not having a favorable opinion of these people that I wouldn't even want as friends. I was like, found another fear. I was like, that's got to go. I didn't know how to get rid of these fears at this point, but I was doing the assignment of making an inventory of what they were. And at first, they didn't look like fear. I didn't notice it as fear. I just saw them as stories like, oh, Gary, you should do this and you shouldn't do that. Or, oh, don't spend too much time enjoying these parks. And what would your friends say? And Gary, you're kind of being a bum if you do this. They were just little comments, little passing thoughts that would pass through my brains 3 hours and 58 minutes a day that I didn't even notice. But when I was awake and monitoring them, I did see them and started to notice the pattern. And who knows how many more were passing in the other 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And I didn't notice them as fear because, God, they didn't even feel like fear. They just felt like, oh, Gary, this is what you should go do. Like it was helping me. should, supposed tos, had little fears behind it. So I had to dig around underneath the little story to find out what the fear was. And it wasn't horrific that my friends might be judging me or family might be judging me. It was horrific that I was doing it myself and imagining it, that it was coming from them. It's like, I'm doing this to myself. And even if it is coming from them, hey, the way around it and not having this fear and this heaviness is, well, the way my mind was constructed, the way to avoid that being judged was to keep the friends, but live by their standard. Put aside what I want to do, but live by their standard. That was the solution it was offering. I was like, well, no, what if I get rid of those friends? Because that's not how the kind of friends I want to have. I want people who love me, support me, want me to be happy, doing whatever I want to do. And that sounds like a better friendship. I was like, but I need to find people like that. But that wasn't what my mind was offering as a solution. So this was the beginning of my fear inventory. And the fear inventory was not, these were not obvious fears to begin with. These were passing thoughts of things I should be doing or would make my life better or what other people thought. A squelching of the desire of what I really wanted. So that's a matter that really helped me see what fear looks like. Yeah, sometimes we notice it because it's panic in our body. It's like, this is obvious, but sometimes it's much more subtle and tricky in the way it's hiding in what our thoughts of what other people are thinking are. And we're busy, in my case, kind of like changing what we should do. And we're spending our time, or I was spending my time on, oh, this is what I should be doing. And not noticing that I was busy over here, which was just a reaction to the fear pushing me that way. Well, Gary, you should go get a job. And so I was thinking about, calling the headhunter and what interviews and what can we set up. I'm looking over there and I'm missing where the fear is coming from over here, pushing me over there. So fear is very distracting in that way. So part of the curiosity question is like, what is fear? Because the next assignment is, what are your fears? And making out an inventory of your fears like this. And that they don't necessarily look or feel like fears right away. They can just be patterns of thoughts that keep arising, and that the fear maybe is somewhere underneath, and that the fear is somewhere underneath of a couple layers behind, or what they think of me, or what I should be doing. How does this look? Fear can be 2 or 3 layers behind it.